Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the homestead. Today's video I want to talk about resourcefulness and resulting in abundance. So getting more out of your land without doing too much more work. We've had this new garden here for kind of one full year. We had a half year when it was half built. And so this is now our second full year, and we've learnt a lot in this sort of 2 years that we've had it, and I'm going to take you through some of those thoughts as I kind of I've been thinking through things and I want to kind of make them a bit more concrete. So here we've got 25 beds, potentially 26. One's a bit too weeded, and you know, this is all about market gardening style, so maximizing space, planting and working efficiently and putting everything in neat rows and all that kind of stuff, and that works really well most of the time. But it requires you to understand how certain things grow, and they only grow a certain way. You can't make them grow a different way than they want to grow. And some things grow up and some things sprawl out sideways. And what we've realised, if it's not abundantly obvious, is that things that grow in straight rows and upwards work really well in this kind of garden. Things that sprawl out, like cucurbits family, pumpkins, gherkins, all that kind of stuff, you can't really tell them can you only grow in this row here and not any wider than the bed, please? They want to go everywhere. So and there's no point kind of fighting that. You need to work with nature, which is another part of kind of what I'm going to be saying here. So this top end, if I've never said before, the reason we have beds this way is because this is one big slope and it eventually goes down to the lake, and so water will run down the slope. No big revelation there really, but any water that comes off the forest and down here, we kind of want to divert it around. We don't want it to keep running through the garden and wash it all out. So that's what these beds do. They kind of act a bit like swales. They're never intended to be swales, but that's kind of what they do. So that works well. We grew pumpkins, butternut squash here, and in principle it worked really well. We had a great harvest. But it kind of felt like a bit of a waste of space, and as we this year think more about resilience and growing abundantly, it would be a waste of space kind of to have things that growing in a bed like this, which don't really want to grow in a bed like this. I mean, they will, but you can't control them, and you can use that space more efficiently. And looking around, we've got loads of space. We've got all this here, all this which was the top of an old field, and we've got all this down the side of the field. And just because it's not in nice, neat, weed-free beds, it doesn't mean it can't be used. So that's, if it's not obvious, then it is what it is. But so why not use these other spaces to grow the stuff that doesn't like to grow in the beds, and use the beds to grow more of the stuff that does like to grow and open it up to other things. So for example, last year I grew down there, I grew amaranth and hemp and sorghum grass, which is a staple in some African countries, and some sugarcane as a bit of an experiment. And they grew quite well. They grow. They're grasses. They grow well in, amaranth is a plant, obviously, but it grows well. You keep controlling it. It grows up straight. Doesn't want to sprawl out. So why not bring those into here and grow them as crops in here, or something else, in the weed-free beds where you need it. And then down here, why not just go sort of dig holes, dump, and grow pumpkins, lots of pumpkins, and let the way that the pumpkins grow to provide a natural cover over the grasses and the weeds to keep them under control. It's not going to keep them completely under control, not the same as perhaps black plastic, which is also an option. But it utilises that space, and because it, in some instances, I'll come onto the fence in a minute, but for example, that area there won't be fenced. But it doesn't matter, because the sort of things that we're protecting it from, deer, possibly wild pigs, bears, they're not really interested in those kind of things, so they're unlikely to attack them and eat them. So I don't have a problem with them being outside of a fence. What we might actually do with the fence on this side is move it, actually extend the garden and bring, because this, if you can see that line there, this was ploughed originally. It still shows a scar of the ploughing, and so the soil is a bit better than perhaps over here. And now that we've trimmed all this tree line to let more light through, stuff will grow easier here. So why not, put have the fence over here when we redo it this year, and have pumpkins growing here, or sweet corn, or stuff like that. Or why not grow a load of corn here, or sunflowers, or some kind of crop that can kind of fend itself from light weeds and grow high, way above the weed line. And part of this resilience and abundance plan is getting chickens, and so we want to grow some food for them. And in fact, in some respects, we can grow so much food in this these beds here, far more than we can eat. We kind of need something in our system that makes sure that food isn't wasted and turns it into something we can use, which is manure, chicken poop. So, we grow far more salads than we need. Yeah, we can give it to other people and bless them as well, but there's still stuff left over, and there's all the greens as well. So we'll, bring chickens into the system and get them to turn our waste into something that will help us grow more stuff in the form of nitrogen, fertilizer, organic matter, as well as, we've got our compost piles, and that will extend as well. But to be honest, there's grass and green stuff growing as far as the eye can see around us. And if nature can grow that, why can't we use it to make compost, is my question. Yeah, we need to harvest it with a lawnmower or strimmer or something, sickle, scythe. But if, it's there, it's abundance, and we can use it to our advantage. And, in continuing the thoughts on efficiency and stuff, I'd like to bring the compost area down here, and extend that, and perhaps have a tool rack as well, so that everything's on hand for convenient gardening. All these beds are ready to be planted into. Some have got stuff, we've got onions, bulb onions we've already got down there, starters, and we've got some broad beans, or pig beans as they're called here. They're already planted. Everything, there's onions, seed onions there, and everything will start coming up green soon. It looks a bit barren at the moment, but our season happens much later here. It's much more compressed. So yeah, there's just some few rambling thoughts for today's video, really. Any comments welcomed. I'm very excited about the potential of thinking out of the box, out of the fence, out of market garden beds, and working with nature more for an abundant crop. Yeah, if you've got some thoughts, if you've experimented with this, then leave a comment below. I'll be really interested to hear from you in your situation as well. I hope you found the video interesting. I'm sorry if it's a bit rambling, but it is what it is. These are the thoughts that are going through my head at the moment, and I wanted to get them down on video, and then in a year we can look back and see what we did, really, what we achieved. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Please like the video. It gives a thumbs up. Boop the like button, as someone says, if at some point in the video you've liked it. That really helps us with Google. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video next week. Bye for now.